Hey Capricorn, this is going to be your November mid-month reading for Sun, Moon and Ascendant Capricorns. If you don't know what your Moon and Ascendant signs are, have a look in the description box below. There's a link down there that will help you. Equally, if you would like to reach out for a personal reading, my email address is down there also, as well as my social media links for Facebook and Instagram. I'm just Scorched Earth Tarot on both, so come find me, come join my community and all that sort of thing. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support, and I can't tell you how humbled I am by how swiftly the channel's growing. It's completely exceeded my expectations, and I'm so grateful to you because the whole point of me pushing myself out of my comfort zone and getting on here in the first place was to try and help as many people as possible, and from the messages and the comments that I'm receiving, that seems to be what I'm doing, and I can't tell you how fulfilling that is. I love it. So awesome. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you find something here for you, and please do consider subscribing. That would be awesome. Right, this is my first month doing mid-monthlies, so I've kind of picked a format and I'm going to roll with it for this month, see how it works. I may review it for next month, depending on how it goes. Certainly a few of them have been super successful that I've done already, so I may stick with this, I don't know. But I want them to be shorter than the general monthlies, so I'll try not to keep you too long. So I'm going to pull a few cards for your general energy at the moment, like where you find yourself sitting, a snapshot, if you will, and then some more to see what's coming up for you between the 15th and the 30th of November. And then we'll pull some advice cards and see if we can't ease the way for you a little between now and December. So, Capricorn. I have 3 cards for Capricorn, please, for the 15th. Whoa. Okay, first card out is the Hanged Man. Interesting. Card of Pisces, number 12 of the Major Arcana. And it fair flew out there. Okay, 2 more cards for Capricorn, please. 2 more cards for Capricorn. Right, 2 of Wands flipped, but I'm not going to take it because it didn't jump. Excuse me. 2 more cards for Capricorn, please. 15th to the 30th of November. How intriguing, the cards have gone silent. Usually that means I have to explain the card that I've already pulled before it'll let me pull any more. So, the Hanged Man is, as it sounds, it's a suspended energy. It's the most passive card in the deck. You know, it's based on the legend of Odin, where he hung himself upside down from, you know, the Tree of Knowledge for, what was it, 9 days, something like that. 7 days, 9 days, 9 days, I think. Upside down, to look at the world from a new perspective and therefore gain wisdom. Right? It's a card of not doing anything purposely. It can be a card of submission as well, you know, of stop trying to act and let things unfold as they will. But for me, more often than not, it's about looking to change your perspective in some way. Can I have a card for Capricorn now, please? That one, it kind of crawled out. We've got the Magician, which is nice. A slightly conflicting energy, I have to say. Let's have a look. Not necessarily, though. 1 more card for Capricorn, please. 5 of Wands. This is a conflict. Can be petty, can be a bit more serious than that. On the bottom of the deck, we've got the 2 of Swords, and that's quite interesting because this is quite passive energy as well. This talks about having to make a decision about something, but being stuck between 2 options, which on the face of it appear to have equal validity, except that they don't, because she's got her back to the water. Water is, in tarot, its emotions, its feelings. And we've got the Moon, and the Moon talks about intuition. This card says you know which way to go, but you are choosing very deliberately not to make that decision yet, and that ties in beautifully with the Hanged Man energy. I'm going to pull some more cards for this. Because speaking as it does about changing your perspective on things leads us beautifully onto the Magician, because if he has gained more wisdom, then the Magician is the execution of that wisdom, because he has dominion over all of the elements. You know, there's swords and pentacles and cups and wands depicted there on his table. And the idea is that he can manifest into reality anything that he puts his mind to, because he can. He understands everything. This is an alchemical energy. You know, it's transmuting knowledge and intent into one's own reality. Now, it can be a bit of a slippery character, actually, because, you know, you can talk about manipulation of people as well, depending on what comes up with it. I'll pull another card for the Magician and see why he's there. Why is the Magician here for Capricorn? Ooh. We've got the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, I like the Knight of Pentacles. He's not a flashy knight like some of the others in the deck, but he is the one that gets the job done. Slowly, yes, but methodically and fastidiously. He's a really good worker. He's holding that pentacle with such care. He knows its value. And he's your knight. So he's very much aligned with the way that you work, the way that you move. Could I have one more for the Magician, please? I've got the Six of Cups. Now, for me, this is usually a past life card. This usually talks to me about past life soulmates and stuff like that. And so it's possible that this is what you're dealing with. But it can also talk about children. It can talk about relationships that we have with those whom we have known before. So really close, deep personal relationships. Or people that are younger than us. People who look to us to look after them. And we've got the Five of Wands, and the Five of Wands is about conflict. Like I said, it can be petty arguments, or it can be more fierce disputes. I mean, it's unclear from the card whether these youths, as depicted here, are actually trying to duff each other up, or whether they're play fighting. You can't tell. So I'm going to pull another card. But it seems like you're trying to make a decision. No. It seems like you're trying to change your perspective so that you can manifest into reality an improvement on this situation here. Let's have a look at this Five of Wands. Why is this Five of Wands here, please? Page of Pentacles. Yeah. Now, for me, the page is... can be a younger earth sign than you, but that's kind of the obvious thing. Over time, he's come to indicate to me somebody who has newly discovered the value of something, right? Because he's a page, he's right at the bottom of the hierarchy of the court, right? And he's just plucked up this pentacle, and it's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. He understands its value, where right up until the point where he held it in his hands, he didn't. And coming out with the Five of Wands makes me feel like it's a conflict that you've had, possibly with a younger person, possibly with a soulmate, that you're now starting to get a new perspective of, and you're starting to realise the value of what it is that relationship means to you, I think. Let's see if the deck will give me any more cards, and whether I need to talk about that anymore. The Chariot. Yeah, like the Chariot's about... it's about internal balancing, is what it is, because it's a card of self-determination. It's about self-control, it's about discipline, but it's also about being very focused on a forward movement, victorious forward movement, in fact. So all of these look to me like you're trying to fix an argument. You're trying to fix some sort of conflict that you've had with someone. You know, could be a Cancer, because we've got the Chariot card here. Could be a Pisces, because we've got the Hanged Man there. And it's like having now discovered the value of what it was that you've been, you know, whoever this relationship is that you've been in conflict with, you're looking to fix it with the Magician and move forwards victoriously. So that's where you are, Capricorn, for the month, no, the last 2 weeks of November. But what I'd like to know is what's coming towards you. So let's have a look. It was a very poor shuffle. I'm going to do it again. That wasn't much better. So, what's coming towards Capricorn? Whoa, that's coming very fast. I've got the King of Wands. That's Aries, Leo, Sagittarius energy. I mean, strictly, it's Leo, and it's a masculine energy. So this could be a person who's coming towards you. Let's have a look. But it could be an energy. Can I have another card, please, for what's coming towards Capricorn for the month of November? No, the last 2 weeks in November. Another card for Capricorn, please. We've got Hermit. That's the card of Virgo. It's about deep introspection. How interesting that it should have come up with the Hanged Man. Now, can I have a last card for Capricorn? What's coming up? Well, I've got the Five of Swords. Okay, at the bottom of the deck we've got the Page of Swords here. And the page is a messenger. And for me, he usually brings messages that you don't want to hear. You know, they're true, but because he's a page, they can be clumsily delivered and they can be quite hurtful and quite cutting. Or maybe you know what they're talking about is the subject matter itself. You know, this is more conflict energy going on here. So we've got the King. The King is the pinnacle of the fire suit. You know, he's confident, he's bold, he's dynamic, he's efficient actually, but he's a little less wound up in the business of running a kingdom than the other kings are, and he's quite separate to you as an energy. So, like I said, if it's a person, it's a fire sign. It's a pretty grumpy looking fire sign, to be fair, as well. Doesn't have to be a man, it can be a woman, like I said. Why is the King of Wands here for Capricorn, please? So we've got the Moon, which is the card of Cancer. Another card of Cancer, because there's the Chariot. It's quite likely it's a Cancer you're dealing with. And then we've got the Three of Pentacles. Obviously, Pentacles, Earth energy, like you. And that's a card of building solid foundations with other people. Things that are built to last. The Moon talks about things that are hidden. It talks about confusion. It can often talk about the subconscious, actually. So if this is a person coming towards you, this is a person who is shining light on something that you are confused about, something in order that you can build to move forwards together, and that fits in very closely with what we've already talked about, the energy that you're sat in at the moment. But if it's your energy, then it talks about living a little more in the moment. Oh, funny, actually Cancer got this as well. Cancer got the King of Wands, and then here's Cancer trampling all over your spread too. The Moon talking about the subconscious, for me, it's a card of going deep. It's a card of pulling out all that dark stuff. You know, this crayfish at the bottom here. It's pulling out the dark stuff that you probably didn't really want to look at, but you're going to do it anyway. Because the King of Wands is very brave, a very brave character. You know, and if you're channeling that energy and you're using that energy, then you're digging deep to have a look. Because of this desire to move forwards victoriously, but also to build something solid. You know, maybe solidify this. I don't want to say reconciliation, because I don't get the impression you're that far apart. Getting things back on an even keel. Because I think that you've been very baffled and confused as to why things are the way that they are. And that's why you're looking to change your perspective. Where's the Hermit here for Capricorn, please? Where's the Hermit here? Just FYI, I don't take cards when they drop to the right because that means I've dropped them rather than them jumping. Why is the Hermit here? Ace of Swords. Okay. This is about going within again. I mean, obviously, the Hermit is all about going within, and we talked about the moon and the subconscious. We're talking about changing perspectives. The Ace of Swords is truth. Yeah. Absolute truth. And it can be a realization that you have when you go within and analyze, you know, whatever this crayfish is in your subconscious, you know, look at it. Or maybe it's the sword that's being wielded by this character here, the Page of Swords. You know, maybe somebody is coming to you with truth, which is causing you to be introspective while you consider what it means to you. I have another card for the Hermit, please. Yeah, I mean, we've got the Four of Wands, which is about, it's about the happy home. It's about that feeling of coming home, whatever that means to you. You know, that can be a person, that can be a situation, that can be a group of people. You know, it's happiness. You know, it's proper happiness. And it's interesting that it comes before the Five. You know, we've got the Five of Wands here. You know, we go from happy home to conflict and things like that. So maybe this is an argument about. Maybe it's some truths being delivered about your home situation, you know, stuff that you had not considered, that you had not seen because your perspective was wrong, which you are now going within for the, you know, the last 2 weeks of November to analyse. But then we've got the Five of Swords. It's another five. It's another conflict. It's another change. It's uncomfortable change. All of these things, you know, and it's cutting and it's wounding. Is what the Five of Swords is. You know, it's that person who will say anything to win. You need to decide whether you are the person who is saying anything to win, to make these people drop their swords and walk off because it's not worth having that argument with you, or whether you are one of these people who puts their swords down and leaves. Let's get another card and see if we can't shed some light on that. Why is the Five of Swords here for Capricorn, please? King of Swords is flipped there. He talks about open communication, speaking directly with no subtext, you know, plainly in a way that people can understand. Why is that me? Got the Magician again. That makes me very uncomfortable, I have to confess. Why is the Five of Swords here? I'll explain why in a second. Oh. No, do you know what? Apparently I need to tell you now. So, like I said, this is somebody who wins at any costs, right? Whatever cost. The main character in the card is somebody who wins at any cost. They will say anything to win. They will do anything to win. You know, he's actually usually depicted as looking pretty smug in this deck here. But in this one, oh no, she does look pretty smug actually. But the point is that these people who've put their swords down, they've walked away because they will lose more than they will gain if they continue to engage with this character. Now, since you're looking for a change of perspective, and there's a lot of deep stuff going on inside, maybe what's coming up for you in the last 2 weeks of November is working out which one of these characters you are. Because the reason that I don't like the fact that the Magician has come up was because if you recall right at the beginning of the reading, I said that he can be a bit of a tricky character, and he is a bit of a manipulator. He's a bit of a verbal gymnast, you know. He can be incredibly manipulative simply because he knows how to manipulate, you know, without the pejorative overtones of that, you know, in its absolute most basic sense. He knows how to move things around and use them to his advantage. And here we are with a card of somebody who will say anything to win. This is, you know, maybe this is the person that you're dealing with. But the fact that it's come out as it has, where it has, down here, Makes me think that maybe there's a bit of reflection on a past situation that you need to undergo now, because maybe your perspective has been wrong. Maybe you've done this without even realising it. Equally, if you're the person who's put your sword down and walked away, then the magician here absolutely confirms that you've done the right thing, because you are not going to win this argument. Can I have another card, please? Wait, there we go. King of Pentacles. And that's you. Now, that's really interesting. We've got the Sun on the bottom of the deck. That's just the card of Leo. You know, maybe you're dealing with a Leo. I would remind you that we've got King of Wands here. But these two together, no, that's not fun. Like, that's your king, right? That is fixed earth, is could be Taurus, actually. Could be Taurus. But it's come out for you, so I feel like it's you. The Magician together with a Court card, for me, introduces the shadow aspect of both to the reading, right? Because of everything that we've already talked about. Now, it could just be that this person has got to where they are because they're very good at, you know, the manipulation of pentacles. That's possible. And in which case it would say, what is... Hang on, I'm trying to work out how to phrase what I'm hearing here. Well, the part of your introspection is that you need to go within and see if it's worth you continuing on this path, because you're obviously very good at this, but you have other considerations that you need to take on board here, and maybe you need to put your sword down and walk away and concentrate on this. I feel that there's some trickery though. There's some verbal manipulation, because it's swords. You know, it's swords. We're talking about communication trickery. You know, whether it's of ideas or of, you know, actual words, verbal gymnastics, that kind of thing. This is what's coming up. Cool. This all got very dark all of a sudden. Right. But you are looking to change your perspective, and you're doing some pretty earnest soul searching. I'm not even going to lie. I see it here with the Moon. I see it with the Hermit. For the Five of Swords to be there. Yeah. So, what advice do you have for Capricorn for the last 2 weeks of November? What advice do you have for Capricorn for the last 2 weeks of November? We've got the Star. Like, the Star's about healing. I mean, it can be about clinging to hope and all that sorts of things, but for me, it's a card of healing, like Temperance is. You know, it's the card of Aquarius. Maybe there's an Aquarius in the mix here somewhere, but it's... You know, all of these things are broken on this card. All of these things are broken around this woman. She's still clinging to the hope that everything will be okay. And it's the fact that everything's broken is what I'm drawn to here, you know. Something needs fixing. And we know what it is because we've already, we've already looked at that. Ace of Wands, you know, that's a new start, a passionate new start. A new start in the moment as well. There's one more card for Capricorn, please. And the Tower. Yeah, I mean, I can't help but feel that this relates to that Page of Swords. Expect. Well, it's also the card of Scorpio. And we are in Scorpio season right now and in a Mercury retrograde. There's a couple of different ways of reading this, and one of them is to, You know, prepare yourself for the fact that an exciting new start that you're proposing, you know, to whoever it is that you're trying to fix a relationship with is going to be rejected. Yeah, it's going to be torn down because it was, maybe the whole thing wasn't built on solid foundations in the first place, and that's what Tower does. It just, you know, it breaks down that which hasn't been built properly, you know, and there's a lot of water there. There's a lot of emotional, you know, look at that. It's the only deck that I've got where there's water on the tower card. You know, it's a raging torrent of emotion, but it's a shock. You know, it's something you weren't expecting. It will broadside you. Nobody ever sees the Tower coming. And the fact that it's come directly after the Ace of Wands makes me feel that this Ace of Wands, what happens with what you propose with the Ace of Wands, is potentially going to get the hope that you have for the Ace of Wands is actually going to be kicked out from underneath you. That's one possibility. The second possibility is that we start with the hope for a new start. But that you should prepare for the possibility that you need to rebuild what has broken down. That's the other way of looking at this, and that implies a great deal of work. You know, it's also you're going to have to wait for the storm to end as well, because, you know, you cannot rebuild in the middle of a thunderstorm, and that's what's going on here. You know, the waves are raging. If this is important to you and you want to rebuild it, then not only is your change of perspective necessary, not only is this deep work that you've done necessary, not only listening to these truths be necessary, and also consider your own part in this be necessary, but you have to wait for the storms to subside. Let the waters recede. Analyse what's left and see what you can use to build something up in the future. Can I have one more card for the Tower? For the Tower, please. I just want to see if I can kind of work out which one of those it is. The Star. So there you go. Your advice is flanked either side by the Star. Keep hope. Keep hope alive. But your new start's not going to happen as quickly as you would like. So I'm going to leave it there, Capricorn. As ever, you know, if the message resonated, please just drop me a like or something. I'm going to just point out that the World is at the bottom of here. That's a card about closing out cycles, you know. It's the end of a cycle, beginning of a new cycle. Maybe the beginning of your new cycle is having to wait for these waters to recede and for the storm to blow over, and then carefully rebuild what's left. Yeah. All right. I'll see you in December for the general monthlies.